Hey guys, today we're gonna do a little questioning with BadBoyHalo.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, he's in his call, and we were just having a conversation about like traps and MPvP and hardcore games and stuff. And I have a couple of questions for Bad, and I'm really interested in hearing his answers. So, yeah, first question: what are your feelings on traps affecting the gameplay on hardcore games?
So, you mean like, do I think traps are a positive influence in HG or a negative one?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, dude, totally. And I know there's going to be a ton of people who disagree with me on this. Like, there's going to be a ton of people in the comments who are going to be like, Bad, you're wrong. Nothing you say will change my mind. But I stand by this, and that I think traps are awesome. And I'm not just talking about people who do traps. I think traps, by definition, make the game, make HG better. The worst thing that I can possibly imagine is a game of HG with no towers and no traps and just a bunch of people running around killing each other and hacking with swords. That is the most boring thing I can picture, because traps keep things fresh. The more traps you have means the more challenges that you have to overcome. And I think people who complain just because they get killed by a trap and it's, oh no, I died by a trap. Complaining is the easy way out. That's saying, instead of trying to overcome this, I'm going to go and I'm going to attack the people who are promoting these traps. I'm going to say, oh, you're terrible for telling people how to do these and, making them out to be the villain. That's the easy way out. That's the lazy way out. Then going into the game and figuring out a way to overcome the traps and then learning from them and having a more fun game because of that. Because when you come across a trap that you've never faced before, it's a challenge, and I love that. And I think that's what a lot of people love about HG too. People who make traps love the challenge of trying to catch people in them. I am one of the people who, when I come across a trap, I love the challenge of trying to take the trap out. And I think there's a ton of other people like that. But for the most part, we're pretty silent. We don't really talk about that. The loudest people are the people like, oh, traps suck, and, they're bad, and, oh, I died to one, and boo-hoo. When really, it's not about the trap being bad. It's how you're looking at it. Traps are great for HG. They keep the game interesting. They provide new challenges, which anyone who just wants to play the exact same thing over and over again and doesn't want those new challenges, like, come on. New challenges keep the game interesting, and they keep it fresh, and they keep it fun. And that's what traps do. I love traps. Traps for life.
Alright, next question.
Alright, like, some of them are glitches, some of them are like kick glitches that we use for the trap. How's your feeling on those? You think those are like ruining game, like any way where it's possible? Like, for example, the whole trap was recently nerfed, like, do you think that will, like...
How's your view on that?
I see what you're asking, and I'll try and keep it short. But basically, like what you said with the Hulk trap, that was really just a glitch. So I don't see any problem with, when it's out, making a trap on it. Be like, hey, here's a trap you can do with the current Hulk kit. Because you can't really know if it's a glitch or not unless we are like, hey, this is a glitch. Yeah. But I think that, using that and making a trap off of it, that's fine, because if it is a glitch and it's not something that's supposed to happen, we'll come around and we'll fix it, like we did with the Hulk thing. We fixed that so that you couldn't use that glitch. You can still use it for the Hulk kit for other types of traps, but you can't use it for the specific glitch that was being used. So it was fine when it was out because it was just part of the gameplay. And when I was playing and I ran across people who I thought were doing those traps, I adapted and I just stayed away from them until I had the materials to go in and take them on. Like, I'd get a pick or an axe or both and then go in, and I could usually take those traps out. And there were tons of people who took those traps out. So unless it was like a game-breaking exploit or something that was like clearly a super obvious bug, which the Hulk kit wasn't a super obvious bug. So unless it's something super obvious, I say I don't really see a problem with it. If it was something like really, really obvious that this is a bug that shouldn't be there and you're exploiting, then I'd see a problem with it. But so far, I haven't seen any of your traps that exploit anything big that, hasn't been corrected. So, yeah.
All right. One more question. What's your view on the Ender initiative?
Well, it's funny you should mention the Ender Mage kit, because that kit has gone through more changes than I think any other kit. It started off, when it first started, man, people who think the current Ender Mage kit is overpowered need to go back and look at the first Ender Mage kit. That kit, you could literally pull people up and just insta-suffocate them. There was no invincibility. The Ender Mage wouldn't be teleported, so it would just immediately... That was the worst. It happened to me, and I'd get suffocated, and that was rage. And I understood why people raged at that, because that was unintended. And the problem is, when we release a lot of these kits, there are some features about them that we won't know, or there are some tricks about them that we won't know about until way down the line, several weeks after the kit's been released. We try and test the kits and play with them as much as we can, just to make sure there aren't any super big, things that people can do, like back with the Ender Mage kit. We just didn't, no one had thought of that strategy that people could do that. And when we found it, we were like, oh, we gotta nerf this. So we nerfed it. We made it so it gave you the 5 seconds of invincibility, and you would be teleported to the same location, and people just freaked out. They were like, oh, why'd you do this? This kit was amazing, and you nerfed it. And granted, I liked the old Ender Mage a lot too, but it was really overpowered. So we fixed it, modified it, made it great, or I think it was great. And then what people did who were using these traps is they adapted, and they made other traps that were, just as OP and powerful, things we had never thought of. So we had to change it again. And that's kind of been the cycle of Ender Mage. We modify it a bit, people figure out something new to do with it, and then they make a new trap with it. Everybody cries that the trap is OP, and we modify it a bit, and then people complain that the kit was modified, they figure out another trap, and the cycle it's been going that way for a while. I think we've reached a point where it's probably perfectly balanced for what the kit is intending to do. I mean, just off of the top of my head right now, I can think of some way that someone could probably do a really good trap that people... The problem is, people assume that a really good trap is an OP trap, when people don't realize that some really good, powerful traps are hard to pull off perfectly. And when someone does pull one of those off perfectly, everybody's like, oh wow, that's overpowered. When really, it's just they executed a plan perfectly. So I don't think that I think Ender Mage is good right now. Right now, it's perfect. But who knows what'll happen down the line. Maybe someone will find a new exploit for it, or a new special trap that's super OP, or maybe not. And maybe it'll just be the awesome kit that I think it is. So I don't know. It depends on how HG adapts.
Okay, I said that was the last question, but I just need to ask you one more.
Go for it.
How do you feel about the YouTubers, the other big YouTubers, popping on this bandwagon of anti-traps and anti everything that's related to traps? How do you feel about that?
I can see where they're coming from, in that it's not fun to play a game, and you're doing really good, and then you get pulled into a trap, and I'm not talking about a trap that's they're using a bug or something that's unintended. That's just something that just sucks, and there's nothing you can do about it. But you get pulled into a really, really well executed trap, and you get killed by it. Everybody agrees with me that, that's lame. Everybody hates it when that happens. But that's still a part of the game, because people are constantly making better traps, and there's going to be new traps that you haven't come across. And so when you finally do come across them and they get you that first time, that's the time where you have to say, okay, am I going to adapt and change up my strategy a bit, and then figure out a way to take on this new trap and go for it? Or am I just going to get, really upset about it? Or am I just going to complain to the person who's promoting the trap? And that's where I think a lot of people make the mistake of targeting people like you who promote all these really cool traps, and saying that you're the bad guy because you're telling people how to do these traps. I don't think that's it at all. Like I said, I think the traps make HG interesting, and I think the appropriate response when you come across a trap that is OP, or that you think is OP, is to go, okay, is this a problem with the kit, or is this just a really good trap? And if it's a problem with the kit, then I understand with the people who are like, okay, I'm going to go and say, hey, this needs to be fixed. Like the vacuum kit. That kit was nuts. Crazy OP, needed to be fixed. I totally understood that. And I agreed with that. And we fixed that kit. We got rid of it. It was too OP, just too complex of an idea to figure out. A lot of the traps with that really OP. But then there are other traps that are just really good traps, and it's one of those things that you have to adapt to. They aren't things that need to be changed. They're things that the YouTubers or whoever's saying that they're OP, those are things that they need to adapt to keep the game, just to get better at the game. And I think the problem is a lot of them don't want to adapt, or they're so used to their normal strategy that when they're faced with these traps, it's easier to just point fingers at you and say, hey, you're a bad person for telling people how to do this, than it is to just try and adapt and change your strategy. Because it's hard to change your strategy. I find it's hard to change my strategy, and I hate being killed by traps, but I also enjoy the challenge of them. So traps are fun is my final thing, but I also understand why the YouTubers hate them. So I don't know.
Okay. That's pretty much it. Like, if you guys want, I mean, like, I don't know if I'm gonna do this, but if you guys want to, like, ask more questions in the comments, you're free to do so. I'll probably answer them, or, like,
I won't.
Back.
I might. I don't know. I guess this is always open for a part 2 if people want to throw questions out. But I encourage you guys, if you have a problem, the thing is traps aren't going anywhere. So, and they're a part of the game. So my thing is, instead of getting mad at the traps, guys, just figure out ways to adapt to them. Because there are literally as many traps as there are just as many ways to overcome them and to beat them. So instead of getting mad, just figure out ways to beat the traps. And that's pretty much it. And don't encourage people who want to just point fingers at people like the PvP traps guys and say that they're doing something bad. They're just, like, these traps already exist. They're just either thinking of new ones and telling you guys how to do them, in which case you should be glad, because now they're giving you a trap that you know about so you can avoid it before you run into it. So that's a good thing to people who hate traps and who like traps. If you like traps, now you have a new one to try. If you hate traps, now you know of one to avoid. So, hey, traps are awesome.
That was BadBoyHalo, and yeah, see you guys.